Welcome to Heidi Relationships. Today, we'll read some more stories from Reddit. But before we start, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. That would help the channel a lot. Thank you very much in advance.
The first one is titled, I, 33F. Am obsessing over wanting to have kids while my partner, 32M, wants to wait years and his family is suffocating me. Ever since my BFF got pregnant 1.5 years ago, I've increasingly been wanting to have a baby as well. 2 other babies have also been born close to me recently, niece and godson, and 2 more on the way. With each new pregnancy, I cry for a day. Also panicking that I'm almost 34 and if I have to find a new partner, I might never have kids. The situation is complicated, as always. My so and I are from different countries. Currently living in a country that neither of us are from and buying an apartment here. I left my country 6 years ago, but never really loved living where he is from. He definitely does not want to move to my country, mostly because he doesn't speak the language. I was happy when we decided to buy a place here and it felt a bit like we were finally settling down. But his family, mother, sister plus BF, came here with us, originally escaping COVID lockdown at home. I thought it would be temporary, but his mother now bought an apartment in the same building as us and it sounds like his sister is staying too. Added conflict there is that I hate her BF. Don't want to go into detail, but I just can't bring myself to like him and wish at least he wasn't also here to stay. I'm feeling suffocated by them being so close, again. His mom is generally okay, and we get along, but very needy, always wanting everything and a bit of a drama queen. I'm upset she bought the same place we have, financially stretching herself to the maximum. I had something nice and now she has it too and will be living 8 doors down. I like the sister a lot but can't be close to her because I just can't handle her BF. Also, they are all into all the COVID vaccine conspiracies and I'm so tired of it. I can feel myself turning very hostile towards them and have avoided seeing them the past 2 days since getting back. I went to my home country for 6 weeks and felt so much more at home and didn't really want to go back. I'm a better person there. My family is more normal. We're close, but with physical space between us all. I literally cried the morning I left. I'm feeling so overwhelmed by everything. I talked to my BF about a week ago when I was still gone and brought up wanting a baby and he wants to get some manly advice on it as he does not want one yet. He'd be okay waiting 8 years. We have our issues, mainly because I'm becoming increasingly impatient and feeling unloved because in over 8 years he hasn't wanted to commit to me. He doesn't because I'm low libido and he's scared of committing to me and being stuck with me and that I might also want to move to my home country one day, and take a potential child with me. He's a great guy, very smart and I love him, but I'm starting to feel like I'm wasting time sticking around hoping for things to get better. I don't even know what I'm asking here. I guess whether this situation seems solvable from the outside because my head has been spinning and I'm constantly feeling anxious thinking about it all. Any advice on where to even start would be appreciated. Edit update. I talked to him about me wanting kids and he is not opposed but scared. He was not thinking about it yet himself and now suddenly has to imagine having one and I think it overwhelms him as he is aware of the responsibility that comes with it and that it simply changes your life. He's not in awe as some mentioned, and I know he wants me to be happy. He is concerned about the amount of time I would want to spend in my home country with the kid so it gets to know my parents, brother, niece etc. And how much time he would have to spend there as well at that point. I usually go to my home country alone. I appreciate all your concerns, advice and as hard as it is to have hundreds of people tell me to leave him, I will be setting a deadline in the not so far away future and if we have not been able to align our needs, I will be going back home, freezing my eggs and starting over. A user in the comments said, "You've been together 8 years, you're both in your 30s, if he's not willing to commit to you by now, never mind the baby, he's not likely going to." Add to that when asked what about him you love, you talked about the lifestyle, not about him. I think you know it's time to move on. You're just a bit scared to do it, understandably. If you really want a baby, this isn't the man. You still have several more baby-bearing years, but don't waste more time. Another user said, "It's been 8 years. He's not going to marry you and he's not going to have a baby with you. Decide what's more important, the relationship or having a kid, and go from there." The next one is titled, "I tested positive for chlamydia last week, even though I tested negative last year. I've only been with one person ever. Could there be some kind of mistake or was cheating involved? Last month, my boyfriend of almost 3 years proposed to me and I happily said yes. Our relationship has been amazing from the start. He's treated me like a princess, we have very open and honest communication about anything, and I don't think he's ever hidden anything or lied to me about anything. We met in college and were semi-long distance for the first year or so of our relationship. We moved in together in July 2014. Right before that, in May 2014, I went to the gyno and had my first annual pap smear done. He's the only one I've ever slept with, or done anything with, so I never really felt the need to get them done before that. They tested for chlamydia and gono and everything came back negative. Hooray! Although I never thought I had any reason to be worried in the first place. Probably very naive of me to not make him get tested before we got together, but I didn't. I trusted him and honestly wasn't really aware that some STDs can linger with no symptoms. Fast forward to now. For the last year or so I've had no sex drive, which my gyno says is probably from my birth control, but sex has been painful for me for that time too. I thought it was probably because I had no libido, therefore causing me to not get aroused, and so maybe being dry was causing my pain. Well, it was affecting our relationship, and after switching birth controls and going off of it for a few months with no changes, I decided to get another annual pap smear and exam. I went on October 30th. I get a call last week and was shocked. I have chlamydia. How could this be? I tested negative for it last May and we are in a completely monogamous relationship. I know I have never ever cheated. So obviously devastated, I went to him, told him what I had and insisted he must have cheated. He immediately denied it, he was shocked, said there must be some kind of mistake, etc., but he swore up and down he never cheated. If it weren't for that negative test last year, I would just assume I had it this whole time and he had it before we started dating. But this is causing me to have so much doubt. We've had many serious and emotional conversations about this since I found out. We had an especially emotional conversation on Saturday night about it. I basically told him tests are black and white and he must have cheated, and I threatened to leave. I've never seen him so distraught. He was bawling, crying, telling me I would be making a huge mistake because he's been completely faithful and has never cheated on me. The test must be wrong, or last year's test must have been wrong. The conversation was so heavy and emotional that I truly in my heart feel like if he had cheated, he would have broken down and come clean about it right then and there. In fact, he even said he thought it would be easier to admit to cheating because at least then I would be able to make a decision, but he said he didn't and he's not going to admit to something he didn't do. He still promises, swears on everything, etc., that he has never once cheated on me. I'm his world, he'd never do anything to jeopardize what we have, all of that. Is it stupid of me to trust him? Like I said, he's never given me a reason not to trust him. Ever. Our relationship has been amazing up until now. We're together all the time and rarely do things without each other. I don't even know when he would have cheated except one of the 2 or 3 times he went home to visit his parents for a couple days. I'm so confused and lost right now. I don't know what to do. He's going to get tested for everything tomorrow to confirm whether or not he has it, but in the meantime I've been going crazy. I talked to a couple different nurses at my doctor's office to see if false negatives or positives were possible, and both of them said they've never seen it happen. Basically, telling me by finance is a cheater. I've read a lot of mixed things on the internet though about people in my similar situation. So, I'm wondering, have any of you heard of, or experienced, a false negative or positive for these tests? It was the Aptima test that they used both times, if that helps at all. Could it have been a lab screw-up of some kind? Literally anything but cheating? A user in the comments said, I know it will be hard but try to just take a breath. He wasn't tested before, correct? How do you know he didn't have it before he was with you? Chlamydia can be asymptomatic for a long time on occasion. He could have had it for a long time and been completely unaware of it. This test might also be a false positive. But even if it isn't, it doesn't mean that he cheated. It could just as easily just be bad luck. Another user said, I just want to confirm that you didn't get retested? The logical next step is to get retested to make sure there was no mix-up of samples, no cross-contamination, no accidental recording error, etc. At the same time, false negatives aren't rare. I could be wrong. But I think the standard is only 95% accuracy, with different tests being above or below that standard. So, dependent on the test, it is possible to have a 1 in 10, 90% accuracy chance of getting a false negative on your first test last year. Didn't your doctor go over all of this with you when they talked to you about treatment? There wasn't a, we should get another test to confirm, conversation? The next one is titled, Update to the Chlamydia Story. So, I had been told by my doctor's office that my doctor would not speak to me until my appointment in 2 weeks. But I told them how nervous I've been and if possible to please have her call me sooner. So, she called me this morning. Basically, told me my fiancé is a cheater. She approached it with, you tested negative for it last year, so if you didn't cheat that means your partner did. Her exact words. I told her I've been doing a lot of research, plus with all the help of Reddit, though I didn't mention that, and I've read that a lot of lab mistakes happen. Tests can be wrong, or I didn't contract it until after my last test for some strange reason because the transmission rates aren't 100%. She basically said that's near impossible. Mistakes happen, but they're incredibly rare and the chances of him cheating are much higher. So now I'm back to square one. I was feeling a lot better about everything and starting to feel normal again, and this conversation brought me back down. My fiancé got tested yesterday and he went to the health department, so results are backlogged, and he won't get them for a week. He got his antibiotics and took them. I got mine but haven't taken them yet. I've been waiting until the weekend in case they make me sick. Final update. Alright guys, this is the last time I will post here. I finally found out that my fiancé indeed cheated on me. I found incriminating texts on his phone and therefore can conclude that he cheated. As a result, I will leave him and try to start over a new life. The next one is titled, My 36M. Family is upset I'm prioritizing my bill over my niece after my sister, 27F, cheated. My sister, Mary, 27F, met her husband, Tom, 29M, when she was attending college out of state, and he was stationed near her campus with the Army. After he got out, she dropped out of school so they could move to our home state at her request, so we've been the only family he's had here. They have a 3-year-old daughter, Jane. Not long ago a guy, call him Bill, reached out to Tom on FB and told him that he saw my sister has a 3-year-old kid and that there's a possibility my niece may be his child. He and my sister had been having an affair from the time they moved home until shortly after she found out she was pregnant. He had to move away for work and my sister never mentioned the pregnancy to him, or that she was married. Tom confronted Mary and eventually she admitted to the affair. 2 paternity tests later, it was confirmed my niece is not Tom's child. He has been devastated. Bill wants to be in Jane's life, but my sister and family are staunchly against this. They say Jane already has a dad, Tom. Tom has been going to counseling since bio dad first reached out to him, and he just cannot see Jane the way he used to or be around her, or talk about her, without breaking down. He says it hurts too much and he feels like his life has been based on a lie, nor can he really imagine staying in her life with Bill around. Since they separated, I have been letting Tom stay at my place since he has no family here. My sister thinks I'm out of line letting Tom stay and that I'm depriving my niece of her uncle. She doesn't want Jane here so long as I'm supporting Tom. Fair I guess, and Tom has offered that he would go to friends or out if I wanted to babysit or spend time with my niece. Also, fair. Personally, I sympathize with Tom. I'm not an affair baby, but my mother was pregnant with me when she met my sibling's father. He made the stipulation that he'd stick around, but my bio dad and bio family could not be around, and my mother agreed. He treated me differently once my sister and brothers were born, and even more so after he and my mother divorced. My paternal family reached out eventually, and I learned the truth, and I got to know them. This pissed off my adopted dad to no end, and his family as well. Said it was a slap in the face that I would even want to know my other family. They were my family, and it was ungrateful of me to forsake all of that. I don't want my niece to possibly go through that. Getting stuck between families is the worst. So, I've been helping Tom find out more about Bill and mediating between them when they talk. Bill seems like a real stand-up guy with positive people around him and wants to take my sister to court for custody, and Bill as well to get taken off the birth certificate. I support both of them in these decisions and have offered to help if they need it. My sister is mad at me, but I have told her and our family that she should only be mad at herself. None of this would even be happening even she hadn't played eeny meeny miny moe with her kid's dad. My family thinks I am prioritizing Tom and Bill over my own niece, that I should be shaming him for abandoning his daughter, and that I am turning my back on her, but I don't think I am. I also think that Tom deserves some kind of support through all of this. I could really use some outside perspective. Is this really a wrong stance for me to take? Or should I back off because my family is right about Tom needing to stick around and shun Bill? Update. I'll address a few questions that popped up before my mini update. Yes, Bill knows Jane is his. When Tom got his paternity test done, he and Bill had him go separately to be tested. Why am I letting Tom stay with me? Well, he was family for years, and for me, you don't just chuck family onto the streets except for extreme situations. Divorce takes a year in my state, and Tom is opting to stay to make sure it can all be handled quickly and smoothly to get it finalized as soon as possible. That said, he plans on moving back to his home state after that, so I am letting him stay with me so he can save money for his move and moving expenses. Otherwise, the only places he could afford on his own require 6 and 12-month leases. Supporting Tom and Bill may result in my sister and I having little to no contact. True, it may, and that'll be our crosses to bear, but I can't find it in me to ignore others needing help just to satiate her and excuse her behavior. I still love my sister. Whatever my feelings or opinions of what she did or is doing have no place in this, nor is it really the time for me to go expressing them to her. Bill's lawyer says it's very likely Bill will wind up with a custody arrangement, and he has assured me that if things do go south with my sister that she won't let me see my niece. I'd always be welcome to visit them to see her during his time with her. It's not a huge update but rather surprising. My sister is still being cranky and doubling down, doing all she can to guilt Tom into reconciling, and adamant about Bill not being involved because she has a husband that just needs to realize they can work through this. Tom is Jane's dad and Bill is not needed. Last week I went on a fishing trip with both Tom and Bill for the three of us to just relax and forget all this nonsense for a bit. Once we got back, my mother showed up to try talking to me about why I am doing any of this. Surprisingly, we had a decent talk after some heated tension. I wound up showing her the post, and while she wasn't happy I was airing our laundry, it helped a bit. Ultimately I was able to get it through to her that given the circumstances and the high probability Bill is going to be a presence in Jane's life from here on out, the best thing for Jane would be if our family and Bill could at least coexist. I asked her how she would feel if her granddaughter was constantly having to choose who to spend time with for birthdays, graduation, prom pictures, etc., or God's forbid. We all put her in a position that she would have to lie to everyone about what she wanted just to not hurt feelings. It took a while, but that seemed to at least get through to her a bit. She's still not happy about the whole situation, but she did agree to a dinner in a public place to meet Bill and some of his family, and I'm happy to say that wound up going off really well, and Bill's mother had a good heart-to-heart with her. So, some progress. Thanks again everyone for the support. This is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed the relationship stories. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video and write a comment. I really appreciate your support and it helps my channel so much. Thank you.